Yeah, hi, Gothatfunk. I haven't replied to you in quite a while. I've made some comments recently after you made that video wondering where everybody was. But I do watch most of your videos. Don't watch all of them, but I watch most. I watch most of the videos that people that I'm following put up. Maybe not every day, but then I'll go back and I'll check over the last 50 videos and put them on a watch later list and then just watch them all, you know. Which is why I don't comment a lot, because I watch the videos and then, you know, I might pause the video and click like or whatever sometimes, but I often don't comment because I've got a lot of videos to get through. But as for this thing you were talking about here about, well, I made a comment in your video, you know, why police aren't just out there to stop crimes after they've happened. When we realise that something is causing crime, we often make that illegal. We make it illegal for people to drive fast, you know what I mean, in their cars. We have speed limits. Not because driving fast in itself is actually, it's actually going to be a crime that causes damage. But we know that it can cause damage, and we know that if we restrict people's speed, it reduces that crime rate. So we're actually making something illegal which doesn't in itself, cause crime, or be it's not a crime, you know what I mean, itself to speed, but it can cause crime in certain circumstances. Wet roads, not paying attention, busy areas, you know. So we restrict speed limits for people in order to prevent things happening which would become a crime, like killing someone with your car, you know. And we do the same with lots of other things, you know. I mean, it's illegal to sell drugs, except if you have a license to sell drugs, which is a chemist. You can go and you can buy drugs from a chemist. But there's a prerequisite to that too. You also have to see a doctor and get a prescription. Then you go to the doctor, the pharmacy, and you get a prescription filled legally. It's made legal. So you're buying drugs legally. It's been made legal. There is a process whereby you can buy certain drugs legally. We could do that with cannabis. I mean, I believe they're doing that in America. With get a card for a doctor, you can go into one of these medical marijuana places and buy marijuana. That's legal. Maybe not federally legal, but it's legal in certain states. So that, that's progressing. That's getting down the road to basically a pharmacy where you can buy drugs that are illegal elsewhere, but become illegal through a process of making it legal for you to buy them through this process. We could also do the same with guns. I'm not saying all guns should be banned in America, but you could pass laws which are reasonable laws. You know, you could have, when you buy a gun, you maybe have to go and apply for a license to own that gun. Not just carry it openly, but to own a gun in your home, you should probably have to go and get a license from a judge or a town clerk or some fucking thing, And then that would go on the register to register you as being a gun owner. And then the police, when they're called to your address, would be able to go and look at the register of guns and know that you're a gun owner, and depending on what they're being called to, they would maybe be able to have a better understanding of what they're walking into, Not to say that the police should go up there with their guns drawn, and start asking you to come out with your hands up and all that, but, at least they would have a better understanding of what they might possibly be dealing with, And it should be an open register that everyone should be able to view, because just like people try to pass these laws when there's a paedophile in your area, I should be able to know whether my neighbour next door owns a Kalashnikov or a fucking rocket launcher or a semi-automatic or an automatic pistol. I should be able to know that and understand what kind of idiot I might be dealing with when he's drunk and I'm having an argument with him. I should know to say, right, I'm not going to argue with this fucker because he's crazy and he's got a gun in his fucking house and he's drunk, and he might get mad enough to go into the house, me think the argument's over, and come out and shoot me, These sort of things should be available for people to understand and give them information how they interact with the world. And without that information, you're walking about the world blind, I mean, in the United Kingdom, it's not totally illegal to own a firearm. Many people in Britain own a firearm. Lots of people own firearms illegally, But you can go through the process to own a firearm in Britain. In fact, some of the people who have actually shot people, like there was that case in, I think it was Wales, where a police officer and several other people were shot by a guy who owned a gun. He owned a gun, you know, through illegal means, and decided to take that legal gun and go and shoot people with it. So yeah, you know, it's not a perfect world. You can't make everything perfect just by putting some, you know, what I would see as ordinary, sensible legislation down, you know. But it does improve the circumstances. I mean, in Britain, when we had huge knife crime, they started to make knives illegal over a certain size. And then they made it illegal for people under a certain age to own any kind of weapon, any kind of blade or knife, you know. Teenagers, especially under a certain age, you weren't allowed to even have a 1.5 inch penknife, you know what I mean? Because that was the age group that was doing most of the stabbings of each other. So we weren't trying to say that, you know, knives have got to be banned, because they could always lift one out of the kitchen, you know. But it was much harder to hide a 5.5 inch knife in your pocket. But you could easily hide a 3 inch blade in your pocket, especially if it's a folding knife, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's got a 3 inch grip and a 3 inch blade. You can hide that in your pocket. It's only 3 inches long until you unfold it, you know. So yeah, we made these things illegal because we've seen a rise in crime in that area. It's not to say that it will be illegal forever, but at the moment we keep those laws in place because they do help to decrease the amount of damage and the amount of crimes committed by those weapons. And I don't see why America is so recalcitrant in putting forward some sensible laws and regulation to reduce the amount of guns, you know what I mean, that are in the hands of people who shouldn't have them. And I'm not just talking about people who are mentally ill. Some people are just incompetent. They buy a gun and have never had any training. I think that should be one of the most obvious fucking things. If you're going to get a license for a gun, just like you get a license for a car, you'd have to go through training. You have to earn your license to drive a car. You should have to earn your license to own a gun. Your father could train you. It's like, you know, you're a provisional gun owner. As long as you're with your dad and he's teaching you, you can go out there in the field with a gun and fire it. But when you go, you have to go to a training place and learn, you know what I mean, pass your license test, and then the guy who's tested you, he signs you off. Then you have to go to like a government office and put in your paperwork, and they phone the guy up and say, did he actually come here, you know, blah blah blah, prove his identity, things like that, and then you get your license, you can own a gun, you know. I don't see what would be the problem with that. We do it with cars, you know. Everybody's got to go through that process of, you know, driving test, pass your test, go and get your driver's license, buy a car, you know. I don't see why it shouldn't be like that for guns. What's so special about the gun? Well, I'm not saying the Second Amendment's not being broached to you by saying you can. Everybody's entitled to own a gun if you fulfil this prerequisite of passing a test to make sure that you're able to. The army doesn't just scoop everybody up and say you can all come and fight. They weed people out. The army weeds people out. The police service weeds people out. Maybe not so effectively as they should do, but they do weed people out. Even if you go and work for a private fucking, you know, security firm, they will weed people out that they don't want because they're incompetent and not able to live up to the standards of that agency or that, you know, private company or that you know, sector of the army. You know, I mean, I don't see why the populace has to be, you know, excluded from that ordinary, normal, sensible way of looking at things. If you want to do something which could possibly harm someone, you know what I mean, you should have to be tested to see that you're you know, a fit citizen to have that right. Some rights are taken away from people, as you know. Rights are taken away from people who are mentally incapable of understanding the rights and performing their duty. That is done as a prerequisite of many other areas in life, you know. But when it comes to a gun, what, blind people can get a license to carry a gun. How the fuck do you know where he's shooting it? But because it's a Second Amendment and every citizen is allowed to carry a gun, a blind person get a license to carry a gun. I mean, that is just stupid, you know what I mean? Absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and it should no blind person should have a gun, you know? Not unless he's got a smart gun which can see for him and tell him what he's fucking pointing at, you know? which we don't have yet. So no, blind people shouldn't have guns, you know what I mean? Mental people who are a danger to themselves and others shouldn't be able to have a gun. There's some people who have got mental illnesses who are perfectly safe and maybe don't even want to have a gun. It's not the Second Amendment saying everybody's got to have a gun, you know what I mean? The Second Amendment says everybody's entitled to have a gun. Well, you're entitled to have a gun if you pass a fucking test. I don't see the problem with that. It's only the NRA and the gun manufacturers that have a problem, because the more and more people who aren't able to have a gun because they're incompetent of using it properly, the less they get to sell. So it's commercial. This is about money. It's not about people. It's not about lives, and it's not about fucking the Second Amendment. It's about fucking companies making money, and that needs to be changed, you know. And you will only change it by the government, the people who represent you, understanding that this makes fucking sense. Licenses, tests, having to pass a fucking examination in order to be able to own a gun, be able to load it, keep it safely, you know, locked up, have it at your disposal, whatever, you know, but not leave it lying about on a bedroom table so that your 4-year-old can pick it up and shoot your 2-year-old. That to me is fucking incompetence, and you should have your gun and your licence to carry a gun taken off you if that ever happens in your household. Anyway, I think I've covered, you know, what I was wanting to say. So, Gothatfunk, I'm just wondering, I mean, you live in the United Kingdom, I know you do. You go outside, I don't suppose you live in a huge city centre, so you probably don't see policemen carrying guns. You know what I mean? Your local bobby, if you ever see them, you know, patrolling your local neighbourhood, they don't carry a gun. You know, because they know that 99.9% of the people they meet in the street don't need a, you know, don't carry a gun, so they don't need it to protect themselves or to protect the public. Why? Because 99% of the population in Britain don't own a gun. They could own a gun. I mean, everybody's entitled to go and ask for a gun. They need to have a good reason for it. They're in a gun club, they're a farmer, they go hunting, you know. But if you can pass these basic, you know, examinations, you know, you can own a gun in Britain. But people in Britain just don't feel the need. There's nothing written down in Britain saying you're entitled to have a gun. But you are. You're entitled to have a gun as much as the next guy who's got a gun in Britain. We just don't have this huge, gigantic idea in our heads that I've got to have a gun, you know. And we don't have it written in our constitution because we don't have a written constitution. That's the thing as well. Don't get me wrong, I think the experiment that America has been running for the last 250 odd years, you know, this democracy idea there, I think it was working well up until the corporations and big business started to buy your politicians and get them to put bills forward and pass, you know, pass laws that favour them against the actual people in in America, you know. So I'm not saying your country, because you live in Britain, or you're a British citizen. Well, I think you're a British citizen. You live here, you contribute to the society, you're a Brit, you know. You probably have a dual nationality, I would imagine, or maybe you could get a dual nationality if you applied for it. But America, they need to understand that, you know, your democracy has been stolen away from you bit by bit. And the worst thing I see about that is you're exporting that idea of buying politicians and controlling what happens, you know, to the world around the people who live in it, you know. It's no longer a government for the people, by the people, you know what I mean, in America. It's no longer that now. It's a government that's been, you know, stolen away from the people in America. So I can understand the anger of some of the far right wing in America, Tea Party and that, but I just think we've got the wrong idea of how to fix it. You need to get money out of politics. These people seem to be the ones who are pushing more and more money into politics, you know, making it worse, making it easier for these rich motherfuckers to buy your government up. And as I say, you're exporting it over here. We're starting to see more and more of it in Europe and in the UK, and I want to see that stopped. I want us to get money out of politics. I want to go back to where it was. Everybody's entitled to run for you know, election, but I don't think you should be able to spend any money up until the 6 weeks before an election. Why the fuck do people need to gather money and pay money for 2 years batting us over the head with all this shite, you know what I mean, for 2 years to the election. No, 6 weeks, that's it. You've got a 6 week fucking gap. Put your best case forward in that 6 weeks, but after the election, that's it. No more fucking election stuff, no more fucking, you know, political shit, no more fucking billboards or fucking, you know, TV ads until 6 weeks before the next election. That's the way I would fucking, you know, deal with it, you know what I mean? You've got to try and get to that, you know, in America, to get true democracy. The people who don't pay attention are the people who aren't going to vote anyway, you know. So, you know, you get elections where there's only 30% of the fucking populace actually vote, like most of the elections we've just had in Europe. So 2/3 couldn't be bothered to get after their ass and go and vote. You know, no matter how many posters or TV ads or bills they get through their door, you know what I mean, they're not going to vote, they're not interested, you know. So 30% of the population decided UKIP was going to be the largest, you know, European party in Britain, and that to me is sad. It is fucking sad, you know. And all the money that they spent, all the money going door to door and putting leaflets out and the advertisements on TV and then the big billboards and the vans driving about with stuff on their side, and you know, it's just all ridiculous, you know what I mean? But at least in Britain we only get it for like, you know, 6 or 8 weeks before the election. We don't get it bashed into us and thrust down our throat every fucking minute of the day, year in, year out. Because in America, one election ends and another one started. You know, it's in 2 years you vote, but you get 2 years of crap being fucking thrust down your throat, and nobody's interested. We're just trying to live our lives here, you know what I mean? And I think America needs to so, you know, wolf/pack.com, you know, fucking go there, TYT, they're trying to sort this out. You know, a change to the American Constitution to get money out of politics. I think it's a great idea. I think very shortly we're going to have to do the same sort of thing over here, but it's going to be more like politicians can't hold more than one fucking job, and that's being a politician. You can't be a full-time politician and work for fucking, you know, Exxon or BP or fucking AstraZeneca or Pfizer. No, if you're working for them fuckers, get the fuck out of politics, you know what I mean? You're a businessman, you know what I mean? Don't fucking be a businessman and a politician, because that just introduces a conflict of interest as far as I'm concerned. You can't be voting on bills which benefit the company that you're working for, even if you only work for them part-time. They're paying you and you shouldn't be able to vote on that shit, you know? So either be a politician or be a businessman, but don't try and fucking be both, you know what I mean? Because that's worse than the fucking revolving door in America, where you're a politician while you're a politician and you're a fucking businessman when you're a businessman, but you're working for the two different, you know, places which actually deal with the same fucking thing, you know what I mean? And you know, it's definitely a conflict of interest, and it's involving money. It's capitalism. It's not democracy. It's capitalism. And you need to get capitalism out of democracy in order to have a true democracy. I think the American sort of experiment with democracy is failing. It is fucking failing. Because of capitalism, corporatism, that is destroying democracy in America, and yous are exporting it here to Europe and the UK, and that's what I hate about it, you know. So I think I've covered almost everything I wanted to cover anyway. Gothatfunk, or Gothatfunk. Keep up, man. It was a good video, but I still think you kind of misconstrued or misunderstood some points of, you know, why the police do certain things, why the law is set up a certain way, why certain laws are passed. It's to prevent crime. The law is to prevent crime, and the police uphold the laws that prevent crime, so that they're not stopping crime or waiting till crime happens. They are actually involved in actually stopping the behaviour that can lead to crime. So they are actually in the area of preventing crime rather than just catching it, you know, after it's happened. So, but that's just my view. And for, you know, MrRepzion, yes, we do actually put people with depression into hospital sometimes, you know what I mean, when they haven't done anything yet, but they are showing tendencies which may lead, as I said, prevention, may lead to them doing a harm to themselves or others. So depression is a dangerous mental illness at times with some people. I'm not saying every person suffers from depression, but sometimes real doctors are on a policeman come up and question you and saying, well, it seemed okay to me. Yeah, you get high functioning depressives, you know what I mean? And you know, just like you get high functioning fucking drug addicts and high functioning alcoholics, you know what I mean? High functioning autistics, you know what I mean? Yeah, you get high functioning depressives, and they can fool people who aren't a doctor who's studied mental health and can actually understand what's going on if they question you the right way and you know, gives your answers. So repzion as well made a mistake there, mate. Yes, depression is mental illness which should at certain points in somebody's depressive moods, because it's not a thing that you're depressed all the time to the same degree. It's a fluctuating thing like everything in human life, and you know, sometimes they need to be taken into custody or at least medicated or put under, you know, a doctor's sort of observation in order to protect them from themselves and others from them sometimes, you know what I mean? That's just the way that life is. It's not a, well, I've only got depression so I'm okay. You know, it's depressive people hang themselves, shoot themselves. Sometimes they shoot other people before they shoot themselves. You know, depression is it can be, anyway, a dangerous mental illness to the people that suffer from it and those around them, you know. So repzion, I don't think you understand even the disease that you say you suffer from. You should read more about it, mate, you know, because there's more out there than just how you feel and how you, well, you've got mild depression, have you? But who's to say you're not going to tip over someday, you know what I mean? Life can sometimes, you know, load pressures on you that you're just not able to cope with. We all have that sometimes, you know. So, Sanjiva, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover here in this video. And thank you, Gothatfunk, thank you, repzion, for your videos, and I hope that you'll take my comments, because that's all they are, they're just my comments and my opinions, you know, as what they are. They're truthful to as much as I can possibly give them. I might be wrong on certain points, certain little pieces here and there, but you know, to all intents and purposes, I think you know that they're valid points and opinions to put forward. So, Sanjiva, and I hope to see you guys later again on other videos. Cheers.